Oh, hello there. It's your old pal Xiovox, back with another trifecta of spooky stories to keep you entertained. Tonight we're trying something a little different, a little autonomous sensory meridian response, also known as ASMR. Well, if this is your cup of tea, you're in for a treat. Without further ado, let's roll the film. Cradling my 4-year-old daughter in my arms, all I could do was listen as the screaming outside the house got louder and louder, interspersed with the sounds of violence and horrible, horrible wet thuds, and the unmistakable echo of muscle and sinew resisting the forces that were slowly tearing them apart. It started just 3 days ago. Something happened out there in the world. And before we even get news of what's going on, seemingly half of the world is gone. Police and military were unable to stop it. Providing such a short frame of resistance is hard to know whether it was real or just a fluke. There was no centralized target, no way to use our most powerful weapons, not without incinerating ourselves in the process. They poured forth across the world from wherever it was that it started. I hear banging at the door downstairs, and the screams of people being slaughtered, unable to mount the proper resistance against such a force. It doesn't take long before the pounding gives way to splintering and the sound of shattering wood. They're in the house. No more than a moment or two passes before the door to the bedroom starts shuddering. The things I piled against it are holding, for now, but I know realistically that they're going to manage to come through. I keep rocking my little girl, humming a lullaby in her ear to calm her as she cries. The pounding grows in force and volume, the frame starting to crack. I put my little girl on my lap, her back against my chest, and I stroke her head with both hands, from the top of her scalp down across her ears, just as I've done since she was a baby, just the way she loves it. The effect is instantaneous. Her desperate crying calms to a series of sobs and hiccoughs, her small body shuddering against mine in fear. I keep humming to her, smoothing her hair, acting for all the world as if nothing is out of place, not a single thing amiss. Astonishingly, slowly, in a reverse cadence from the sound of splintering wood, she calms down. I can feel it when she stops tensing as I keep stroking her down the sides of her head. A final hiccough of a sob, and she falls quiet, her body relaxed. She doesn't even have time to realize what's happening as I twist her neck with a violent jerk, accompanied by a dry snap of a sound. She's dead before she can even slump down into my lap. The door is giving way, the furniture pushed back. I may be torn limb from limb while I scream, but at least my baby angel's safe from harm. I pointed the gun at the sick bastard who killed my wife. He sobbed as he feared for what was to come. I pulled the trigger. If only he had spoke and tried to reason with me, then maybe he could have lived. But that obviously was not going to happen. After all, he was born just a few minutes ago. In the year 2026, the Messiah came back down to earth. She performed miracles and cured the sick. There was no doubt as to her authenticity. She appeared to all nations at once, All believed, all worshipped her. Sometime later, after the period of our history known as the Age of Peace, she dropped a bombshell on us. She warned us that heaven was almost full. Nobody had gone to hell during this age. There was a fixed amount of spots left. Paradise would be closed to all who died after the gates closed. This is when the mass suicides began. Taking your own life, she told us, was not a sin if you died a pious man. The race was on. She looked on and was pleased. She returned to her home, to her throne of fire and flames, and greeted all of us with a nod of her wicked horns. Well, wasn't that a lot of fun? Mustn't be too loud now. We don't want to alert the zombies waiting outside now, do we? Or do. Whatever works for you, really. After all, zombies need love too. What did you think of tonight's episode? Go ahead and leave me a comment down below, letting me know what you liked, what you didn't like, what you might want to hear. And of course, maybe we'll try this again soon. Right, let's take a moment to thank this week's sponsors. That's right, the Patreon crew. Without their help, this show wouldn't be possible. Want to help out too? You sure can by going over to patreon.com/Xiovox, link down in the description. Remember, folks, every little bit helps. Now, in no particular order, this week's Patreons are Preston C., Tyler Wilson, Cardigan, Risa Vandrab, Wildkin, Roxy Cat, Matthew Gafford, Karai Kitsune, Zuyen Chen, and Tater Bater. Thank you. Oh, don't worry, folks. We're not going anywhere anytime soon. We still have oodles of content to go through. Maybe consider hitting the subscribe button right here so you can keep up to date with the latest content as it's released. But until then, here's 2 more episodes to keep you entertained. And I guess we'll see you next time.